Welcome back to Kansas City Close-Up for Sunday morning. It's Truta from KC1021, the show with Jen and Truta. So the next half of our show is going to be spent talking a little bit about film. And this is something, I mean, of course, I love film, and I've kind of been in the film industry and wanting to make films and be interested in the process of it. And it's always great to talk to a filmmaker. And Rob Lehr has a very interesting story about his documentary, Thunderdome. And Rob joins us here in studio as part of the Arts and Crafts Festival happening later on today. Rob, welcome to the show.
What's up?
Not much. How are you?
So excited.
I bet you are. I bet you are. So Thunderdome, as a documentary, follows a story about you. And we really have to begin at the beginning, as they would say here, and the plane crash that happened. Take us back to the beginning of what happened to you.
I got you. So if you're just watching Thunderdome, you're going to see a little bit of the plane crash kind of situation. I won't ruin how it starts out, but you're going to love it if you show up to this. Kibera is this slum in Nairobi, and it's like 1 million people. It's insane. Like if you see the clips from it. First, like the second day we went and checked out the slums, we did some interviews, just kind of experienced that. And then the next day we were going to do some aerial shots just to get some establishing and just really see the vastness of it. Like it's unbelievable. Right. And plane crashed. So that was awful. So our plans for the next 2 months, really, it was me and my buddy were both in there. The director of the project, Thunderdome was directed by me. He was the director on the first part. So it's kind of like that balance to it. And then, the two guys that were still there, they continued our planned path. My buddy broke his back. He had a kinked intestine. They had to take out, I think, 12 inches of his small intestine. So the path split at that point. We headed home, recovered. Most of my wounds were very, very mental. It was just like I tried to go back and get the pilot out and was unsuccessful with that. And that's just, it haunted me. Yeah. And got my buddy out. And it was just... It put me in a really dark place after that.
So there were 3 people in the plane? Is that?
There's 4 people in the plane. There was the pilot and then the engineer, Ryan and Frank, and then my buddy Dan. And so originally across the United States and Europe, it was just me, Dan, and David. Dan Paris, David Paterka, those are my partners. And then once we got to Africa, David's brother, Tim, he showed up and he was going to be a camera guy. So that's why there's 4 at the end and 3 at the beginning. Right.
And just the pilot? Perished?
Well, no, the pilot and the co-pilot did. Like, pilot was killed on impact, and then I went back and I got Dan out. Like, I woke him up, and he was just like, he came out, and then I went back in and was unsuccessful, and it's just, it even to just think about it right now, it absolutely kills me.
I can imagine, yeah.
So there was just a lot of just fighting with blaming myself and just what ifs, and yeah. So that was like, that's the setup for the second movie. Came home, played a whole bunch of video games, and that was like I just retreated into this. It was escapism, and I just played Modern Warfare for 3 months straight, and I couldn't sleep. And eventually, my buddy came over. He's just like, "Man, this is not happening. Like you're not going to get any better like this." And he put a paintbrush in my hand, and just like I bought a house, and he showed me how to fix up a house, so that gave me the tools I needed to make stuff. And then he put a paintbrush in my hand, and murals started popping up everywhere. And then I let him know that I used to have a box of Nerf guns because I played in the dorms. Like I was the guy who had 10 Nerf guns in the dorms. 3 a.m. we're having a war, and it was awesome. And so he's like, "Dude, bring those down and we can play in the house." And so brought them down and played inside, knocked the wall out so we could have 2 fighting walkways. And then we outgrew that. And then so I just looked at the backyard and I was like, why can't I just build a paintball, like a Nerf arena, whatever? And that's the beginning of Thunderdome. Like we built, put the nets up the first day, so 6-foot fence, and then they were like 4 foot's worth of net. And then over the course of the next month, I was working on it nonstop. Eventually there were sniper towers and a drawbridge, and it's absolutely insane, and you love it.
That's awesome. That is incredible. Yeah. And what did the neighbors think about this?
I thought on one side I've got 3 deaf guys, and they're awesome.
Okay, yeah.
But like being a loud guy with a Nerf arena in your backyard, 3 deaf guys is like you couldn't buy that.
It almost starts like a joke. You feel bad about that. You're like, oh well, but yeah.
Yeah, they're great. They came over the first couple of times. Like they're like, oh, what's this thing? And like we play charades because I try to learn sign language, but I'm just bad at it. So the first couple of times they came over, and they're like, it was great to just see them just going full Rambo on it, and then eventually. Like they're older guys, about 40 to 60 around that range. Yeah. And they're just like, okay, he's just going to do his thing. So they support it. And the other side, I've just got a great family over there. Right. And generally, we're pretty good about it. In the beginning, we started playing at like 9 o'clock at night and went in early in the morning. And now we start about 6. And about 9:30, 10 o'clock, we have turn the music down and just like try not to yell is our line.
But do people come over? Like who plays then?
Oh man, like see that was the thing. Originally there was first like 6 or 7 people and just my Facebook friends. I was just like, hey, I built this thing. You should come over and play with me. And some people did, and then
Yeah.
I went like this. This is like the whole story of Thunderdome. I'll give a little bit of it, but you got to come see it. If you want to see
right.
the
We don't ruin too much. Yes.
But so what happened was I was at this point where I was building this thing, and my buddies were kind of sick of it because I wanted to do it like every single day, you know. And I go to this party that my buddy invited me to, and I just brought a bag of Nerf guns, similar to an interview that I did a couple days ago. And if you bring a bag of Nerf guns, you're bringing the party. And so my logic was, I'm going to go to a party with a bunch of like college kids. They're going to see Nerf guns, and they're going to be like, "Why are you what? Oh, there's a circus in my backyard, and we can shoot each other."
Yeah.
And it totally worked. I met randomly. I met guys on the Missouri State campus. Like I went to Missouri State, but when I was there wasn't Nerf stuff. There was just me in my dorm and nothing organized. And then like 2 years after I graduated, a Nerf club started, like an HVZ kind of thing where they do King of the Hill.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
And so I just kind of like it was like a match made in heaven. So they came over, kind of took a chance. And on paper, it sounds really sketchy. Like, just like, oh, there's this guy and he's got a thing in the back. Like, dude, I was like 29 at the time, and this is like 20-year-olds. But as soon as they came over, like, there was a Jurassic Park gate with like torches and stuff, and I go spectator
I kind of see that in the trailer, right? Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's all. And so, like, as soon as they came over one time, they're just like, okay, I get it. This is great. This is like everything that you wanted to do when you were 9 years old, except your mom wouldn't let you.
Right.
And I just learned how to use power tools, and I realized that rules are kind of made up, and I can just make my own, you know?
I love it. I love it. We're talking with Rob Lehr, who's the director of Thunderdome, and it's around. It's basically your life on. So, what made you want to do the documentary about this then?
So, I touched on it a little bit. Like, just the progression of it is PTSD. I was retreating into video games. I decided to make the video games real. Did that, and it really was just this therapeutic thing. I went from this very dark place into this just kind of. At first, it was just kind of like keeping a shark moving, just like just going through the motions of building things and creating things. That was therapeutic enough to just get my mind off stuff.
Yeah.
And then through doing that, people came over, and I realized I found people again. I had some friends online that I could kind of confide in, but it was still like friends in Texas and friends in Canada. But like physically having people come over to your house and shooting at them, like you don't even like you just become community. You just become a family. Just so like if me and you like I'm already feeling like we're friends. We're having a good conversation.
Heck yeah, this is great.
But if I shoot you in the face with a Nerf gun, we are bros.
That's right, we are. Yes.
And so
and that may end up happening too. So we'll see.
For a good like 6 months a year, I was just growing, and then eventually I bought 3 acres, and I was like trying to expand even more.
Yeah.
But the thesis statement of why the movie, I realized I kind of took a step back, and I'm already a filmmaker, so I'm just like, oh, I need to tell this story because this helped me so much that I know that like my passion is for just people who are just, I think there's so many people just like me. I remember when I was 22, just really depressed and didn't really know that there's a better option than just playing video games and kind of like making excuses. And so really like I felt like I needed to share my medicine, and that was therapeutic in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did you ever have any formal therapy at all?
I see. When I first got home, I toughed it out, and really Thunderdome was my formal therapy. Okay. And I really sorted through it, and it was very much like a Band-Aid, but it was a pretty good Band-Aid, you know? Yeah. How can you really even process all that? And then, I don't know. A few years later, this is probably 2 years later, I'm doing a lot better. You got the Band-Aid on the plane crash thing, and then there was an incident. There was a firearms incident when I was hunting, and somebody ended up blowing their arm off. And so I was like, oh, I can deal with this. I've dealt with a plane crash. But really, then there was a fight that happened with a friend because of that, and it was just kind of, and that experience, it ripped off the Band-Aid.
Right.
And so after that, really, I was just like, it was brought all the way back, and then adding this new stuff on there, and then losing a friend just because of just drama. That's when my buddy just was like, no, you need to go talk to someone, and it really helped. There's a great counseling service down in Springfield, Missouri called the Forest Institute. It's like master student stuff, and they really work with you because I've been poor. I've been a starving artist for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, sure.
But it was just a really great resource, and I was afraid they were just going to preach books and just, hey, this is how you fix this, and cookie
try to
cutter.
put you into a box of, well, Freud says that, and Jung says this, and whatever.
Exactly. And I walked in there, and like I was I asked for like a secular, I'm a humanist atheist.
Yeah.
And I asked for a guy specifically that, just because that would just kind of meet me where I was at. And the dude was his name was David, and he was just great. He just he's like, hey man, I'm not going to try and fix all this because we're not going to. But right. Like I've probably went through a lot of the same things you went through. So let's just talk, just like me and you are doing right now. Yeah. And that in itself.
Boy, and that can be too very cathartic.
Oh, it was great. And so that it's never fixed. I have a hard time sleeping really, like every single day I wake up and I'm like, oh man, what are we doing? Okay, this is what you got to do today. And so it's never going to be fixed, but at least it's a little bit of turning the frown upside down and making, if you're always worried about dying, then you forget about living. And that's what I'm trying to do,
So this leads us to today, where you're going to present this documentary now at the Arts and Crafts Festival in Kansas City.
So excited.
It's going to be awesome. Is this the first time people have seen it?
Nope. Okay. It was a 2-year process where I sat in a room and lost all my friends. They didn't leave. I just didn't. It was nonstop. I was doing 48-hour editing shifts on this.
Yeah.
And so we premiered.
But that's something you probably also put all of your heart and soul and mind into, is now you have this other project. You're like, okay, I got to stop playing. I got to edit this down.
Yeah. It was fun for a little bit. And then I bought a foreclosed kind of house that had roaches and possums and just sadness. And I started the principal photography of the film, filmed all my initial interviews, and then did a very, very rough cut of just the interview kind of skeleton. And then I bought the house for what was it? It was I think I paid $5,000 for this house or something. So that gives you an idea. And turned the frown upside down. But that was during the process. So over 2 years, it was just editing. Yeah. By the end of it, I hated it. And it was absolutely the first couple of times that I watched it, it gives me anxiety attacks. It doesn't anymore as much, but just it was prison editing. So it's that's what movies do to you. It's if you go into filmmaking and say I'm going to do this and I'm going to have a great time all the time, well, you will sometimes if you do little YouTube videos. But if you commit to doing your first feature, which I absolutely challenge you to do if you're listening to this and you're kind of toying with that, do it. Take your time with it. Don't let it kill you. And but yeah, it's gonna be like a marriage. You're gonna hate it for a little bit, but just work when you can work and live when you need to live.
So people are gonna see this today, and it's coming up at 3:15 this afternoon. It's gonna be the showing of the screening, and this is great because the Arts and Crafts KC Festival, it has music, it has craft beer, it has movies. There's basically everything that we all love is now wrapped up into one big day.
Nice.
I like that. So, but you've also been accepted to the Atlanta Independent Film Festival as well?
Yep, and I forgot to mention the Universal Film Festival. That was our premiere, and that was awesome. We won Best Documentary, which I was just happy that they let me hang out there and show my movie. And then
that's great.
It was really I'm not very big into rewards or awards and stuff, but it was really just that was the first moment where I got to watch the movie again. There was 3 months where I just put it away, and I got to experience it. And it really was that medicine that I wanted to give away. I was at the point where I needed to hear that message again, and it's continually something. So, yeah, we just got into the Atlanta Independent Film Festival, and I think that's going to be in January. And my good buddy Lord Jaconical, he's a YouTube guy. I think he's going to be in attendance for that. I think I'm going to give him the reins and let him do the speaking for that. If there's that.
Nice. So, are you talking today? Because it does mention with the directors. Are you doing any Q&A or?
I'm going to show up, and if they want me to dance, I'll dance. If they want me to speak, I'll speak. I'm going to have a great time watching a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
And I'm there. Yeah. Usually there's something afterwards, and absolutely, I'm on board.
Okay, Screenland Armor's where it is, 408 Armor Road in North Kansas City there. Great place, great venue, love watching movies there. Festival doors open at 12:30. All the craft beers are going to start pouring that at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Music, movies begin at 1:30 today. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, your documentary. And where do you go from here? So what's next? What do you have on tap?
Oh, man, I'm I know I'm going to drive home tomorrow. And then, I'm a public speaker. We like to tour these around because film festivals are great and they're fun. But this movie is meant for college students. It's meant for people who just even people younger than that. I want people to see it and just see the crazy stuff that I've done and just be I don't want it to even seem weird. I also forgot to mention. So through doing this, I launched a YouTube page. There's already 15 other Thunderdomes around the world as far as Lithuania, Malta, Nova Scotia. So this is the idea. I gave it away and said, you don't have to pay me anything. You don't have to it's not about me. You find some people to play with, find a place to play. You got a Thunderdome. Let's do this. It's like Fight Club with Nerf guns, except rainbows instead of punches,
And now you're hearing from people the world over that have done this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The first one was Thunderdome, Nova Scotia, and it was like, dude, a 15-year-old kid hit me up on Facebook. He's like, "Hey, so I saw your YouTube video, and hey, I was already like playing Nerf, and so I built this thing in the backyard. Just want to let you know." I'm like, "No, you can't just like drop that." And dude, he's actually going to be an intern for Hambone Productions, is my company. So next summer he's going to come down, and like he's already starting to make some YouTube videos. I'm so excited about it.
Awesome.
So Thunderdome, Nova Scotia, Jag, love you, buddy. Can't wait for you to come down. So
what I was going to ask you was, has the greater PTSD community, because that's kind of a big thing right now with the soldiers and our veterans, have they been in touch with you at all? Have you gotten into that world at all?
You know, I did make one video that was very, very specifically focused on it. I do a lot of like weird abstract stuff sometime, like online. So it's like, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you're going to get Nerf, you're going to get life, and you're going to get a dose of weird every once in a while. And there was one that it was called Injuries Don't Always Bleed. And it's really just like, you have to just watch it because it was filmed like kind of a story cam style with just me going through the backyard. And it's awesome. But anyway, that was my tribute to just PTSD and mental illness survivors. And so other than that, I haven't really reached out. Like, I've talked to lots of military folks who've come over and played, and that's been really good for them. But like, I mean, like, I'm not like making a website about it. But yeah, I feel like it definitely it's good for everybody. You know?
Yeah. It's a real hot button topic right now with a lot of people. So just wondered. Rob Lehr, hey, best of luck to you, my man. Congratulations on the doc. Yeah. And everybody go check it out today. Arts and Crafts Festival at Screenland Armor beginning at 12:30 this afternoon. Rob, thanks again. Have a great rest of the weekend. We will talk to you next Sunday on another edition of KC Close Up.